Hello, everyone. How
Hello.
are you doing? Uh, Welcome to another masterclass, the 17th one. Who have thought that we would get to make 17 masterclasses? And today we have a really special one, one that was quite the challenge for us and also a fun challenge to make without systems. We got to make in this year a bingo app, and Pedro Oliveira is here with us to tell us all about it. So, hi Pedro, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm fine.
How-
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm also fine. And I'm ready to kickstart another
Good.
masterclass. Today, we are going to talk about the challenge that
Yeah.
OutSystems brought to us, the requirements of the Bingo app, and all the process behind it. And also, at the end, Pedro will present to you a live demo of
Yes.
the Bingo app. And as always, if you want to have a full guide of this presentation, I will advise you to check the description of this video where Pedro has dropped a blog article about all of this process that he is going to explain in a minute. So, Pedro,
Yeah.
can you lead this presentation on?
Yeah. I can. Thank you for your words, João. So
Well,
basically, early this year, Outsystems came to us saying, "Hey, we have a challenge. So naturally, we love challenges. So we start listening to them. So they start saying that they have some ideas about engaging more with the community of OutSystems developers. And they want to do that in a funny way and in an interactive way. Okay. And everything with the main objective of having involving the developers with the activities from OutSystems, things like events, or simply doing things like promote the Forge and adding components to the Forge. I mean, they wanted to have the developers more engaged, and they have this idea of creating kind of a gamification application. Okay, because they also wanted to give the opportunity for the developers, and not just the developers, but they want to give the opportunity for winning prizes, basically. Okay, I don't know exactly what are the prizes, but this is what they said to us. So we said, okay, it's cool, it's fine. Let's go for it. So naturally, the first thing that we start talking with them with OutSystems was about the requirements. So as I said, they wanted to build a bingo application, right? Like exactly like a bingo game with the cards and squares inside the card that the users were going to start filling with small activities like adding a component on Forge or create or respond to a post on Forge, those kind of things. Small stuff, okay? So they wanted to have a PWA application. They didn't want to be dependable on an app store, either from Google or from Apple, because it's easier for everybody to install a PWA on their mobile device. And they also wanted to give the ability for the users to have their own registration, because if they want to see the bingo card in their computer or in the laptop or a tablet or a phone, okay, they simply have their login so they can access their account. uh, they ask us, they obviously want a very easy way, a very simple way for the users to interact with the application. They want something very simple. and they want to have an appealing UI and also an UI aligned with the OutSystems style guides. Okay, the styles that you can see on their website, for example. On top of everything, they also ask us for a simple back office to basically manage the users who have submitted their cards, their bingo cards, and they ask us to use the user entity from OutSystems, the user entity capabilities from from OutSystems, so we didn't need to create from the ground an entity to manage the users, but we are going to talk a little more about this later on this presentation. So basically, these are the main 7 requirements. All right. So we naturally wanted to follow a normal process or that usually we use when develop an application, like starting with the requirements, then going through the design process, the development process, having a phase to test and for the clients to accept the application, and in the end, the application is going to be released to production. So this is basically what we did. So after we understand everything that the client or OutSystems wanted for this application, we start thinking about design. So that we did was to create like a mood board. Okay, and the main task here, the goal here with the mood board was to look at other similar applications, applications or game applications with the bingo game applications, and these allow us to understand their language, the type of language that these applications usually use. And by looking at that, we start designing the main logo, the main identity, or the main image for the application. And that identity, you can see it here in the logo of the application, where we identify the letter here in the OutSystems. So from this point on, we start putting our hands on tasks more specific to to UX design. So what we did was to create kind of a mock-up flow with the screens, the navigation, the entire navigation inside the application, where we can see things like after the splash screen, we will have the login. From the login screen, we can log in and see our card, or we can, for example, click on a button and request a password reset because simply we forgot our password, things like that. So we defined the entire flow for the application. When this flow was finished, it was time for UI design tasks. These UI design tasks were basically tasks where we designed a very simple style guide with colors, the definition for the buttons and the different states of buttons, those small things that we need for this also small application. After this, it was time to give some styles to the screens here on the mockup. So the teammates from Interactive, they designed all the screens that were identified here on the earlier stages of this process. They designed everything, and after everything was approved with the client, we start the development process. All right. So regarding the development process, the first step was to define the architecture for the application. I'm not going into a lot of details here, but in general, we wanted to use Outsystems UI framework from Outsystems, basically out of the box. We simply customize the styles or the components that we needed for our application, and we created new styles and new components that we are going to need. And we created 3 different applications. The main application is basically the application where the bingo is located. Okay, it's kind of a front-end application where the custom theme is located. Then we created another front-end application, which is the back office application, where Outsystems could go there, look at the number of registered users, which of those users already register the bingo card, do some basic tasks of database maintenance, these kind of things. And both of these 2 applications are consuming the data applications, where basically all the databases are located as. Okay, for those who know, this is kind of core application, all right? And it also has some actions to access those entities, those kind of things. And on top of this module, the module inside this application, is also user provider. Again, I'm going to talk a little more about this later. But basically, what we can see here is we have 2 modules consuming dependencies for this 3rd module here. Okay. Regarding the users management, basically we define 2 different flows, one for the registration and one for the recover password process. And naturally, we took advantage of the multi-tenant features of Outsystems, of the Service Studio platform. So in a couple of minutes, in short words, the registration flow that we define here, we didn't want to have a very complex process. Okay, we tried to, without forgetting the security that we need and all of that, we try to keep this process as simple as we can. So basically, a user arrives at the application and creates a new user. It requires to create 2 different username and the password. So the system, the first thing that the system does is to check if there's another user already registered with the same username. If everything is okay, what it's going to do next is to create that user and set the user with the kind of temporary state. So it already exists, but I cannot log in yet. And then it creates a unique ID that is going to be associated with this newly created user. And what it does next is it's going to send an email to the user saying something like, okay, you register on the bingo application, please click this link to validate your registration. So the user clicks the link, it's going to be redirected to a page inside the application. The system is going to validate everything. It's going to see if the unique ID exists, if it matches with the user, all of that. If everything is okay, a message is presented to the user saying something like, okay, you are registered, you can perform your login and start filling your bingo card. So the user from that point is able to log in the application. And the same process, the process for the recovery of a password is basically the same. So the user arrives to the login, it will have a link to recover the password. It will be required for the user to type in it's a valid email. And then again, the system is going to validate if that email exists on the database. And if it exists, it will create a unique ID. It will set the user as with the information that the user require a password reset action. It will send an email to the user saying, hey, this user requested a password change. If it wasn't you, simply forget this email. If it was you, click on the link. The user clicks on the link. Again, it's going to be redirected to a page. And then if the system validates the unique ID, basically what was done before, and if everything is okay, it will present a simple form to the user with an input for the passwords and an input for the user to type in the password again, just to make sure that the user knows exactly the password that is being typed in the keyboard. So after this, the password is changed, database is updated, everything is fine. The user can start using the new password. Okay. So then again, this is a very simple way of recovering a password and register a new user. It's as simple as it can be, because obviously we have some security stuff that we are not able to simply forgot or put aside. So I think this is a good process. It's not probably bulletproof, but it works. So about these, since we are talking about users, and as I said before, we use the multi-tenant features from Outsystems. Basically, this means that I can use the users module pre-built actions, things like the login, the logout, everything is pre-built in Outsystems. So it's very quick to use. I don't need to configure basically anything, all right? So if we use this entity from Outsystems, the user's entity, aside with multi-tenant, I can take a complete advantage of this entity. I don't need to create one from the ground, okay? So it's already have pre-built security policies for the data, sessions, all of that. It's very easy. It's much quicker than create everything from the ground. And it's very easy to configure, okay? So basically, in here, we have the core service module where we have our database. And basically, I just need to say that this is going to be a user provider, okay? And aside with this, the user entity from system is already defined as a multi-tenant, okay? This means that in the same table, I can have multiple users, and in one application, the first application is going to display only a couple of users, and another application that is using this same entity is going to show or use a different set of users, because this information knows that the user A is for this application, user B is for this application. So it's very easy to use, because then on the application, I simply define the user provider of this application as bingo app data CS. So when I create a user here, this application, when I request, for example, a list of users, since I'm saying that the user provider for my back office application is using this user provider, it will automatically filter the entire user entity to match the users from my application. So I don't need to configure anything else. Well, there's much more you can do with multi-tenant, but in this scenario, this is just what we need to configure. So After this, and since one of the requirements was to have a working PWA application, we also performed some customizations to the manifest of the application inside Service Studio. The most important ones are basically this setting here, the display attribute. We define this as full screen. Okay, so it's going to hide the some elements of the device. The orientation, for example, the other one is the orientation attribute. We define it, or we set the orientation attribute as portrait. This basically means that our application is going to run only on portrait mode. If I rotate my device, the application is not going to rotate. It's going to be kept vertically. And then we change a little here, these two attributes, the background color and the theme color. Okay, so basically the background color is the color that we are going to see before the splash screen gets to in the screen. Okay, it's before the application starts loading. And the theme color, if we change these attributes, the color that we are having here is the color that is going to be visible. It's going to be the background color of the status bar at the top of our device. Okay, the status bar is basically the place where we have the time and those small icons and alerts from the device. Okay, so this was much of the work that we did regarding the web configuration. So now it's time for a quick live demonstration. I'm going to use my my cell phone for you to wait just a second, for you to see exactly the result of the application. So as you can see here, we have our PWI here at the top. I'm going to click it, and we are going to start loading the application. Okay, so now we are inside our application, and I'm going to type in this user, and now I'm inside the application and I'm seeing my bingo card, basically. So if I start if I start filling, or if I start doing these small tasks, I click on the ones that I'm doing, the ones that I did actually, and basically I can remove, I can add again, and when I get to the point where I have an entire line, I have a submit bingo card button, and from this point on, I can submit the bingo. I'm going to be asked if I really want to submit the bingo. I submit the one. There's a problem here with the application, but we are redirected to a screen. So if I do the logout, I can confirm. Okay. As you can see, we have, for example, an example here at the bottom for me to recover the passwords, or if I want to create a new user, we can create a new user. Okay, for this scenario, we are requiring a name, an email that is going to be used as a username. I have the password and the confirmation, and in the end, we also add reCAPTCHA confirmation, and basically that's it. This is a very simple application with just a couple of screens. And sorry for that problem there. I don't know exactly why it's not submitting the card, but don't worry. Yeah, and basically in a couple of minutes, this is the demo that of the entire or almost the entire application that we did to that we developed to Outsystems. It's a simple one, obviously, but it was a lot of fun to do and allowed me to explore some things, some features of the platform that I'm not so used to do it because I'm a UI developer, not much uh, um, a full developer, let's say, and I did some tasks here that went from UX to UI and go through the UI development process. I mean, creating the UI, the look and feel of the card that you saw there, and then I developed the database entities, all things like that in the back office. So it was a lot of fun to do, and I think they will have a lot of fun also using the application. And I don't know the prices that they are aiming to give to the developers, but I don't know if they are offering socks or mugs or something like that. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoy what you heard and what you saw. And then again, I encourage you to go to the bottom section of the screen, and you will have the link there for a more detailed
Yeah.
article talking about this application that we developed.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
on the way of going to the description of our video, I would also would like you to drop us a like, and if you
yeah,
have a question that you want to ask us, me or Pedro, you can drop them on the comment section. That
yeah,
we are more than willing to answer as soon
for
as
sure.
we see the messages. And I think that is it. Thank you, Pedro. It was a great
Thank you.
presentation. I leading through the process of it, I'm sure that you had a lot of fun building this
Yeah,
app, and the
I
ones that because it, like when I saw like Bingo app, the first person in High Interactive that I would associate it with building this type of app,
mhm.
it was you. It has your face. I don't know how to express it, but yeah, it's basically it. Thank you if you also have got to the end of this presentation and also got to see the live demo showing the application. That I think that it was the best part of the presentation. And without further to add, thank you all for
Yeah.
showing up to this masterclass, and stay tuned for the last one that we are going to
I'm
make this year.
eager to see what
Yeah,
are you
yeah,
preparing
yeah.
for
We are preparing a
the
very
next
cool
masterclass.
surprise. So stay tuned. We are going to launch the last masterclass of the year on the last Thursday of the year, as we always do. So that's it. Until then, take care and
Bye guys. Bye bye.
enjoy. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.